I'm a language and literature IB student. I'll be exploring the global issue of abuse of authorial power leading to the intimidation of minorities. This global issue is seen all around the world where figures of authorities such as presidents, police, or governments abuse their power through violating and intimidating minority groups like Muslims, homosexuals, or Hispanics. This concept is examined in two different texts, and I will be analyzing these to explore the global issue. The first article is an article written by Mahdi Hassan, a British American Muslim journalist. The article entitled Chechnya is trying to exterminate gay people, which was published in June of 2020. It centers around the government's violent abuse of gay people, depriving them of their rights as they're being tortured and murdered. The second text is a rap song by Tupac Shakur, one of the most influential American rappers who passed away in 1996. The rap song is entitled and it was released in 1991. It discusses the daily intimidation of black people from people in authority, especially cops. In this oral, I'll explore the question how do the two texts present the idea of abuse of authorial power leading to the intimidation of minority groups. Starting with the excerpt from Mahdi Hassan entitled Chechnya is trying to exterminate gay people, where a gay Chechen detainee reported to the Human Rights Watch saying that the police electrocuted them, beat them with pipes, kicked them, and punched them. They made other inmates beat them, and they called them names and spat on their faces. Here, a semantic field of torture is created, highlighting the abuse of authorial power from the government and police towards gay minorities. Furthermore, the ascendant makes the list of abusive and violent torture of gay people seem incomplete, inviting the audience to continue the list and therefore making them think about the trauma that the gay people went through. Hence, these stylistic choices create a pathetic appeal as they invite the audience to empathize with the victims, especially as it's presented in a very emotional and moving way. This creates an uncomfortable atmosphere for the audience as the list of torture seems endless and very violent. Added to that, this characterizes the gay people of Chechnya as victims as they're tortured and traumatized, and causes the government and police of Chechnya to be depicted as villains and homophobes. Therefore, this conveys the global issue as the government and police are violating gay people, especially if this is presented from a perspective of a straight white man whose religion does not accept homosexuality. In the same article, Hassan mentions how the Chechen leader ordered the rounding up and detention of gay men, who he calls subhuman and devils. He was also justifying and encouraging the so-called honor killings of gay Chechens by their families. The word detention is an understatement of the actual heat and seriousness of events which grabs the reader's attention to the downplayment of authorial abuse towards gay people, therefore focusing on the global issue. Words like subhuman and devil are metaphors showing the verbal abuse of the president towards gay people, knowing that they're not going to be able to retaliate. Furthermore, the lexical choice in justifying and encouraging may anger audience as they present the authorial abuse of the president as he's using his words and power against the people. Lastly, a critical tone is established through the words so-called as it shows the speaker mocking the president's intimidation. Consequently, Hassan is able to convey the president and government's authorial abuse towards their gay minorities, as he shows how they're intimidated and violated. Moving on to Hassan's body of work, the issue is present in the article of Life for British Muslims since 7/7, where Hassan presents the intimidation of British Muslims as he asks, remember Muhammad Abdul Qahar, shot in the shoulder during a dawn raid in his home in 2006 before being released without charge a week later. How about Muslim residents in 2010 to be surrounded by a ring of steel of 218 spy cameras as a part of counter-terrorism operation? Similarly, in another article written by Hassan talking about Muslims in America, he asks how he should inform his daughter that Trump's signature policy was to prevent every single Muslim relative of hers living abroad from entering the US, purely based on their religion. These rhetorical questions and semantic fields of justice and intimidation highlight the violence against Muslims from authority figures in the UK and America, where they are violated and surveilled, as well as restricted and deprived of freedom. This establishes a pathetic appeal as the list of abusive actions towards Muslims are likely to make audience empathize with them, especially if this involves a sensitive topic of family. Therefore, a sad and hopeless mood is created by Hassan as he presents how Muslims are being intimidated in different countries at different times, thus highlighting the authorial abuse of power towards them. In another article, the A to Z list of Trump's violations, Hassan presents how the Trump administration separated more than 5,400 children, including babies and toddlers, from their migrant parents at the Mexico border. Experts with the United Nations Human Rights Council also said that the policy may have amounted to torture. The descriptions of these events create violent visual imagery and semantic field of violence and torture. There is also lexical choice in words such as children, babies, toddlers, and kids, as they all make the audience sympathize with them and feel for them due to the connection between them and the sense of adorableness and helplessness. There is also an ethical appeal as the writer uses accurate numbers and trusted sources such as the UN Human Rights Council, which may have the people convinced. As a result, this highlights the abuse of authority of the US against Mexican migrants, especially young children who are not able to defend themselves. Therefore, Hassan strongly presents the global issue of abuse of authorial power leading to the intimidation of minorities, as he presents authority figures violating and intimidating Muslims, Mexican migrants, and homosexual people. In conclusion, both Mahdi Hassan and Tupac Shakur present the abuse of authorial power leading to the intimidation of minority groups. Hassan presents how the government of the UK intimidates and violates British Muslims, as well as how Trump and the American government intimidate and oppress Muslim and Mexican migrants. Furthermore, Chechen gay men are also being intimidated and violated by their government and president. In his articles, the intimidation is presented in different ways, such as surveillance, physical attacks, murder, and or restriction of freedom. Similarly, Tupac presents the government's, police, and president's intimidation of black minority groups as in America, as there is a lot of police brutality as well as neglection and cutting off aid for black people. In some, both texts portray the same issue, as most, if not all, authority figures abuse their power by intimidating and violating privacy of different minority groups, but in common yet diverse forms.